unavoidable congestions that has become the headache and bane of economic development for the past 6 years. I think I have introduced my guests, but my colleagues is just reminding me now that as to allow you to introduce yourself, just those of you that are in the front, I think I've called them before, but for the press to know you better. The essence of today's meeting is to see how to make our ports competitive and to correct the wrong procedures responsible for avoidable congestions that has become the headache and bane of economic development for the past 6 years. Bonded containers that are supposed to be dropped at the seaside by the shipping lines are now being allocated to another bonded terminal together with other containers for the said bonded terminals to take the whole vessel load to its terminal first on the cost of the importers before the bonded terminal, which is the final destination, pick the container to their terminal. Apart from the cost, which is abnormal and triple, there is time consumption, which leads to delays, make nonsense of the federal government policy of ease of doing business. Today, Nigeria Shippers Council in today's meeting should tell us what is doing to monitor the excesses of all the shipping lines in trying to kill the export business by leaving export full containers at the ports and load empty containers for juicy import freight that are in the range of $17,000 per container when they know that import is a leakage to our own economy, while export is an injection into our economy that can help us strengthen the economy and Naira. It is equally important for Nigeria Shippers Council to tell us, there's this committee, the sanctions that will be meted on the shipping lines refusing to refund container deposits immediately after the empty containers are returned, even with the evidence from the interchange showing the date and time such empty containers were returned to them. There are cases of 1 year, 6 months, 4 months, etc., that empty containers were returned, yet no refund. The excuses the shipping line usually give is they are processing, but when they want to collect, they don't process that long. I think there should be a law stipulating penalty on the part of those airing shipping lines, like paying 150% of the amount deposited. If it's not refunded within 3 days, the empty is returned to them. Nigerian port authorities will equally tell us why the terminal operators are allowed to operate without the necessary equipment, and then they should also tell us why they give fewer days, 3 days, like 5 days, for export to get in, knowing fully well that in advanced countries there are in some cases 21 free days. Why is it allowed by MPA for a terminal operator to allow exporter to get in export food containers in an open-ended manner? That is, the exporter is being given a window as to when the vessel will arrive in order for him to get in and submit his document. After complying, the terminal operator will not issue terminal handling charges, waiting to see if the vessel will change its expected time of arrival. And if it happened that way, the terminal will pass the demurrage of the delayed vessel to the exporter instead of the shipping line. A case in point is that of Onne Multipurpose Terminal, OMT. This particular terminal has collected illegally a lot of money from exporters, whereby they will allow them to get in their export food containers, and they will not give them the date the vessel will come. They will wait. The vessel can take a month before it comes. Whenever it comes, that is when they will raise the THC and then pass it to the exporter, which is very wrong. I understand that such practices do not take place at West African Terminal WAC in the same name where they operate. Whenever there is an ETA from a shipping line, and such shipping line gave loading order to an exporter to get in their export food container, it is incumbent on the terminal to issue their THC immediately for payment to be made. And once this is done, the exporter has no more charges to pay. If the vessel fails to berth on the ETA provided by the shipping line, then it is the responsibility of the shipping line to settle the terminal. But it's not the case with OMT. MPs will explain why they allowed them to operate this way. The core objectives of this meeting that we want to achieve in this interactive meeting is how to streamline all operations to make our ports very competitive, where container destined for bonded terminal can leave directly from the mother port to final destination. Once it's closed ICD, it can be Kano, it can be dry port, it can be any outside terminal, bonded terminals. For example, if it has nothing to do going to another for example, it has nothing to do going to another bonded terminal before going to either ICD Kano or dry port Kaduna. In fact, the land process is responsible for the congestion at the port, because containers that ought to have been evacuated will not leave, while vessel upon vessels will keep on coming to populate already congested terminal. And we cannot blame them, but blame our bureaucratic procedures. Nigeria Customs Service should tell us why they cannot trust their well-organized commands that have area controllers, deputy controllers admin, deputy controller revenue, DC enforcement, assistant controllers, well-organized command. They should tell us why a bonded container has to be subjected to a cumbersome clearing process at the mother port, instead of facilitating the trade. Allow the containers to go to already well-organized command, the way it is, where we have all other agencies also present, like SSS, police, anti-bomb police, SON, NAFDAC, and so many agencies that work with them at the command. Why is it that they have to subject and delay at the mother port, causing more delay and also losing revenue in the process? There's no point of assessing power of containers on bond. What is the essence of the bonds? This brings to fore the issue of scanners that were not properly handled, that eventually collapsed. This message I have told the Controller General of Customs last week when he was here. We have no option than to repair those scanners. And God willing, as we are all here, this is Committee on Customs, that scanner, if it's not in the budget of 2022 of Customs, we will not work on it. We have to do everything within our powers to repair those repairable among those scanners as an addendum to whatever scanner that may come in future. In fact, we can no longer wait for the future, because in the long run, I doubt if we shall have any functional ports we can call our own. The faster the custom processes are, the more the revenue Nigeria Customs Service will generate and collect for nation and themselves. So these are the major highlights of our meetings today. And we will call each We are going to call you one after the other to tell us your own part, what you are doing. Why is it that we are having challenges in all these areas? Thank God, MPM. We are going to come after you all. We are coming after you for your inefficiency. I'm talking to one of the partners that are not here now. We actually will invite them. We are going to invite all of them one day. Before we do that, we will get the marking scheme from customs. That is the requirement, what they're supposed to have, and they're not having them. So, once we go out on inspection and one is missing, we will recommend for closure of such channel. This is signal to you all. Let them know, and then LTA channels, put it on your school, let them know. Yes, now we are talking about solution to our problems. And it is equally good for us to know what is the problem. And before we can know the problems, we have to start with the operators. Let us call the bonded terminal to give us what are their challenges, how do you operate? They need that problem yourself. What is the problem you are causing for us? Let us hear from you. Well, we hear from you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Inland Containers Nigeria Limited, as we all know, started its operation in 1980 from Kano, and in 1982, Kaduna branch was established, and since then, the company has been moving containers from the seaports to the two terminals to serve the people of the hinterland.
Honorable colleagues, listen so that you can ask him some questions.
And we have been doing this since then, and I think no business that does not have this challenge. And we have some of our own challenges affecting our business. And I believe this committee, the Honorable Committee of this National Assembly, the House of Representatives, will do a justice to it. One of the problems are the cumbersome custom documentation, as the Honorable Chairman said. Through customs, cumbersome custom documentations, processes for transit containers. We have a lot of tables to pass through before a single container will come out of the port. But our belief is that since we have a well-organized command with competent lieutenants present in our terminals, our belief is that even though container is going to leave the mother port, shouldn't pass more than 3 tables or 4, so as not to delay.
Can you mention those tables so that custom is here?
It's a suggestion, so I think custom may speak on it. So number 1, bond seats, where they will confirm that the bond is in force. 2, the nurses 2 room, where we have custom data system. 3, the controller release, that's a Proffer. Then enforcement. Those are the 4 stages we recommend for custom.
How many tables are you now passing through?
We have more than 12 or 15 tables.
Can you list them?
Operation manager, can you tell us the tables we are passing through? Use your mic.
We have Customs Controller Office 1. We have APM.
Now,
Sorry, we are interrupting you, but just to go back to the flow. This four that you mentioned, bond seat, 92 room, controller release, and the exit. These are your suggestions that you think with these 4 steps. So this is your suggestion.
these are my suggestions. So, it's all right. Thank you, sir. The next one is we are suggesting that the customs should upgrade their system or servers to reduce system downtime.
Web Fontaine is here. They will answer that one.
There is
It's not
always
pro-
need.
It's Web
because
Fontaine problem.
We face that problem frequently. Then we also have new system just introduced called the policy is demanding the use of power for capturing transit shipments on IM8, which we have not been doing before. So this process new customs policy demanding the use of power for capturing transit shipments on IM8. This process,
Custom, I hope you are noting down so that you can respond to capturing using power for bonded containers. Who is that person?
Web Fontaine.
Are they the one using the power?
Creating that platform. So they will explain it.
Okay, maybe when we get there, you educate us. But I think it's.
Okay. The next one, still on customs, sir. Customs refusal to accept hard copy manifest as an amendment for omission of ICD or final destination clause. This new policy is having negative effect on our custom documentation turnaround time. Yes, sir. Next, failure of shipping companies to transmit e-cargo manifest containing final destination clause to custom system to facilitate generation of transit manifest. We have that issue with shipping lines. I said failure of shipping companies to transmit e-cargo manifest containing
CPAS Council have to take note of that. And the MPA too. CPAS Council, can you say it again so that they can hear you?
Okay. Failure of shipping companies to transmit e-cargo manifest containing final destination clause to custom system to facilitate generation of transit manifest. They don't transmit, yes. Something like don't do that. We always have that problem with customs. Then I think the rescheduling of vessels without prior notice and transfer of transit shipments to off-dock terminals and profit-bonded terminals. This resort to double handling, additional cost, and delay. Rescheduling of vessels without prior notice and transfer of transit manifest to off-dock terminals and profit-bonded terminals.
I mentioned it in my speech.
You have already mentioned it today.
So which is very wrong.
It's done by the shipping line.
Yeah, it's done by the shipping
Yes,
line.
yes, they are.
The terminal operator says the shipping line is not.
It's not the fault of terminal operator, it's the fault of the shipping line because it's the shipping line that allocates the vessel to the terminals they like.
So it is the responsibility of Shippers Council to control this.
I think this is a suggestion to custom. No. Yes. Okay, it's a part of problem and part of solution. Sometimes there will be a change in policy by customs. What we see is just somebody telling us when we get to custom office that we want to do this. No, we have a new circular telling us that you should go and do this or do that. Whereas when that decision is being taken, they didn't call the stakeholder to have their inputs. So sometimes before we adjust, it takes time and it causes delay. So sometimes when you just
What you are saying is that there's no time lag.
What we are saying,
No time lag in the formal.
are not allowed. They don't give time to for
For the
compliance.
new policy to take effect, you just suddenly.
Suddenly it will happen immediately.
No, but you see, you need to figure, because you could have a policy usually is government. For instance, when they say they are changing tariffs or they are sending something, this policy comes from government. Then you have other procedural issues. You understand that the issue of this part that you mentioned, that one is just a procedure, it's something that is happening operationally. Now we need to understand, are you talking about policy issues or procedural issues? That you just get to customer and they tell you that this thing has changed. Because if it is a government policy, government policy sometimes it takes time before you implement. The circular may come, they say, yes. So
I know that of government.
you know that of government.
Fine, it's a
so
policy.
Government policy. So then it's not the policy. Maybe we change it to operational. Can we have one, Chairman?
That's right. Okay. Okay, now, what I'm trying to say now, a custom will just issue circular, and it's not even written to us. We are not in copy. It is when we submit our transfer at the command, that's the port, that's when they will tell us that we have a new circular in place that we should go and comply with these directives. That's when we now see it. It's general. I'm just saying, I don't want to be specific now. But it's a policy statement or procedural statement.
Go ahead. Let's see other ones.
They should give us time to do that. Now, the next one, non-availability of rail, local, and wagons to move cargo to the hinterland. This is for railway corporation. We have been there several times.
Unfortunately, we didn't invite them.
For...
They are not here. So we pass the message to them.
Okay, thank you, sir. Again, accessibility of seaports. We have gridlock, and the MP tried to put a little call-up system in place, but for now, it's still not working. So we want to know whether they want to improve on this one, they want to have a new alternative arrangement for us, because it takes our trucks to get into the port 1 week, 2 weeks, up to now.
Okay. Are you done?
Thank you, sir.
Dry ports, let us hear from you, then we go to WAT and APM. It's almost the same thing you are doing.
Deputy Chairman, member of the High Table. I want to thank you for giving us this audience.
Just go straight. Let us know your problems, the challenges you are facing.
Since Kaduna Inland Dry Port has commissioned, since I've been commissioned by the Fed President Muhammadu Buhari, we have not been able to fully commence dry port operation. We are using status of bonded terminal because Kaduna Inland Dry Port was upgraded as a dry port, and it was commissioned January 4th, 2018 by Mr. President. And since then, we've not been able to fully commence operation because a dry port is a port of destination and port of origin, but that has never been in practice. In the essence that the rail, we have the rail connected to a terminal, and the rail has not been is sufficient enough. Lack of wagon, lack of locomotive, and they were just taking.
MD of Nigeria Railway was here last week, and then he said there's no load to carry, that they are looking for even goods to load, and it's not available. So why is it that you say you don't have, maybe you didn't contact him?
Our staff have been going there every day. They don't have enough local to pull container from the port to Kaduna. The one they have, they are using it for shuttle between Apapa and the Kutemeta. I would just want to seek support because my MD has said a lot. Support of one, the Nigerian Port Authority, Nigerian Railway Corporation, the customs, and the terminal operator. But I would like to just mention a few because since 2018, we've not been able to commence full dry port, and Kaduna is the first dry port in the country, and others are still coming. I think there should be a process on how inland ports should operate in this country. It should not be
suggestion on that.
It should not be categorized as a bonded terminal.
Don't give us, if you have any suggestion on that.
Suggestion I have, yes, one, there should be dedication of 5 locomotives and 100 wagons for us to operate.
Wagon carry how many containers?
20.
100 wagons we carry like 20 times 100. That's 2,000.
That is 5, yes.
Per day?
No, not per day. They should be able to have a schedule, movement schedule, how these cargoes will move from the seaport to the dry port.
Did you write this to what do you call NRC?
Sir?
Have you written NRC on this?
Yes.
Let us have the copy.
In addition to that, the shipping company should encourage shipping activities to thrive by supporting enabling environment, by sending their services commence documentation process for cargo destined to Kaduna Inland Airport, by issuing true bill of lading. Most of our customers in the north, because the essence of dry port is to decongest the port and bring shipping services to the interland shipper. This has not been done. A lot of customers in the north, particularly in Kaduna and Kano, they will show me that they will ask the shipper that their cargo should be destined to Kaduna. But the shipping company said the only recognized port they know is Apapa port, particularly the seaport, Apapa and Port Harcourt, that they didn't recognize the dry port. And this dry port was gazetted in 26 May 2017 by the federal government. So there's need for something,
Nigeria Shippers Council should take note of this.
In addition to that, when you look at the cost of moving cargo, cost of the landing cost, you discover that the shipper will prefer to clear cargo in Lagos rather than bringing it to port. One, maybe I've said it takes the clearing agent 2-3 days to capture, do everything. On our own side, it takes more than weeks. And the terminal operator, which I expected the Nigerian Port Authority to do something, because there must be what we call incentive to encourage the shipping company to have their cargo destined to dry port. Because when you look at shipping company charging container deposit or container that is meant for the north, it has not reached the final destination, and they are charging container deposit for what? And container that has not been taken down to Kaduna, you are already charging demurrage. So all these things are not supposed to be for a dry port operator. In addition to that, there should be an holding bay, and there should be an access to evacuate all this cargo from the port. Because the container that is mainly about 100 container, we are subjecting the truck that is moving that cargo from the port with other trucks that will enter the port. You discover that it will take days before the truck enter the port. And the turnaround of the vessel, and even the turnaround of the cargo coming down to dry port. A lot of shippers in the north are complaining. I'm talking of the importers and exporters. In addition to that, as regards to custom need to streamline the process. We are still using Transire. It's a dry port. A dry port is supposed to be manifest, separate manifest, then attached for approval through the CAC. I'm just making a suggestion anyway.
I don't think custom has your dry port in their system.
It's not there. So I'm just saying this,
Custom
that it's true. There should be a platform where our inland ports, because we are saying Cardinal today, others are coming. There should be a system where our inland ports operate. How will we be able to fast track, streamline the process of inland ports so that they can get their cargo? If the custom, the Nigerian Railway Corporation, the shipping company can assist and fashion out on how dry port works,
We are here.
the problems will be,
That's
the problems
what
are
we
facing
want
will
to get the solution.
be resolved.
Today, not tomorrow. Is that
So
all?
my MD have mentioned a lot about it, and I wanted to say it here as a dry port. When the cargo is destined to a dry port, it's the responsibility of shipping company, because already the importer will have paid for both inland and ocean freights. So the cargo is destined to inland dry ports. So in an advanced country, it is the responsibility of shipping company to bring the cargo to dry port, where we receive and tally. But it's not the same here in Nigeria. And for the fact that we are the first dry port, we are using Transire, and those Transires are long process. So I'm appealing.
What is your major challenge now? Transire issue.
Transire issue.
Yeah.
They should streamline the process. The shipping companies should stop charging charging container deposits, and they should extend the 5 days. You can't expect the cargo meant for Cardinal and you are giving only 5 days. So there should be an extension.
It's noted. What?
The first speaker has stated some of the problems that terminals face. From our own end, one of the issues we're facing is the long-standing containers that have been sitting in the port for some time. The port is supposed to be a transshipment area, but is now being used as warehouse. So if these containers can be evacuated, that will help in creating more space. And we also have the issue of limited navigation time. Vessels don't sail or berth at night. And if a vessel finishes operation, it has to occupy the berth till the next day before it can sail. So if the waterways are secured, I think those vessels will be able to sail once they finish operations, even though it's late. We also have the issue of poor access road. The Eleme-One East-West Road axis is actually in a very poor state, and this has increased the truck holding time because it takes longer time for the trucks to exit the port and come back, thereby also keeping the containers which they are supposed to be carrying in the port. So if that road is fixed, it will improve the truck holding time, because the truck turnaround time, the truck will be able to go and come back and pick more containers. The issue of scanner has already been mentioned. That will also help in facilitating examination and exit of containers.
Whose responsibility it is to evacuate long-standing containers? Is it not custom? It's customs. Okay, whose responsibility it is? Is it your own to take it out?
It's customs, sir. And MPA, they provide the space for it to be.
We would like to have the list of these long-standing containers. When you go back, give us the list of these long-standing containers. We will write officially to CGC to move them away, so that we can have space to work. That's just it. So whoever is not ready to take his container, custom will take it and then...
Cargoes have increased, and the terminal, our terminal in particular, is also expanding to accommodate this volume. We also encourage that other stakeholders within the business, because the chain, should also key into expanding their own assets. The truck holding bay is another area that needs to be increased so that it can accommodate more trucks, because the volume have increased, and then we'll also see the entrance of more trucks into the port. Thank you, honorable members.
It's okay, what? APMT, tell us...
Customs. So all the instructions that we do to determine where a container will go are being passed.
Can you come to the front seat? Madam, give him space so that...
The laws and the extant processes that have been set in place by customs. The information comes from the shipping line, who is the carrier. So the carrier is the one who determines where a container is going to go. And customs will provide us with the necessary approvals. So this is what makes us, determines how containers are moved, whether they remain on dock or they are moved to off dock. So APMT as a terminal does not send containers out to off dock. I think without stressing the issue, there are two critical areas of improvement, although discussion has been ongoing. You also mentioned the same in your opening speech, the issue of scanners. Right now, we are conducting 100% examination, which means we have to ground a lot of containers on a daily basis. This is quite cumbersome. It's also a very manual process. If modernized scanners are being introduced into our terminals, we will be able to have a faster turnaround of cargo in Nigeria.
How many containers are you examining in a day?
With manually, we examine between 180 and 200 containers per day.
So with scanner, you can do like how many?
It depends on the capacity of the scanner, Mr. Chairman.
Average, on average.
Well, you know, the scanner,
like the one in Apapa now, there's one there.
The one in Apapa, it's been down for a while, sir, so it's not really functioning.
Can you do up to 1,000 in a day if scanners are there?
Like I said, the way scanning works, there are a lot of processes have to be factored in. But with the 24 hours operation, we believe that it will go above what the physical examination is doing. But I don't want to preempt any figures here because it will require a lot of processes, man hours, and other...
will tell us that.
Yes, for customs and the Web Fontaine team to decide how they want to proceed on that. Then lastly, we also have challenge with long-standing boxes. We've had support from the acting managing director of MPA. We've had support from the CGC. A couple of containers have been transferred, but we still have more that needs to move. So we are also seeking the support that we are able to transfer these containers out of the terminal.
Can you repeat that? You said CGC, what happened?
Yeah, the CGC has supported in recent times. He has been given approvals timely for movement of containers to Ikorodu. Yes, and MPA also been supporting, but we are just asking for more effort because of the volume of some of these long-standing boxes, so that it can be a continuous process.
How many long-standing containers do you have in APMT?
As of today, we have submitted lists to both MPA and Customs. I have roughly about 1,000 boxes, just slightly above 1,000 containers.
So about 10,000?
Yes.
Still in the APMT terminal. So Customs will give us answer when we get there.
Thank you.
Are you done?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We will now ask... I think Web Fontaine will be the last.
Committee for the invitation extended to us to appear before you during this interactive session. As the chairman may have noticed, I am one of you Actually, I'm more comfortable sitting on that other side. But as things are, I'm on this side now. When I walked into this hallowed halls earlier this morning, I was looking at your faces. And I thought I would see a number of the Methuselahs of the House of Reps. I didn't see that many until my brother, Honorable Sylvester Obaga, walked in. I said, okay, finally, there is a face I can recognize. No, he doesn't have to recuse it. Am I safe? Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, you are at home. Don't feel relaxed.
Thank you very much.
This is your home.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. There are a couple of things, Mr. Chairman, that have been canvassed by some of the stakeholders this morning, to which we'll offer a response or two. But first, let me note, Mr. Chairman, very respectfully, that your letter inviting us to this session, specifically dated 29th of July 2021, which I received 2nd August, specifically spoke to our interactive session to the extent that we were to discuss the need to stem all bonded containers to destination port. That really was essentially the invitation that was extended to us. And we came here, Mr. Chairman, with the intention to respond to that. I understand when you sit on that side that there's a lot of latitude. So obviously the scope has expanded somewhat. So Mr. Chairman will excuse us to the best of our ability to be able to respond to some of the new issues that have been raised, which may not have been in our contemplation when we were coming to. Now, as far as the issue of container, first and foremost, the issue of tariffs, which Mr. Chairman himself mentioned in your remarks. I want to report to you, sir, that the Shippers Council has actually streamlined tariffs of shipping lines. I want to report to you on that, sir, that we have actually streamlined tariffs of shipping lines. That is no longer an issue as far as our maritime industry is concerned. Regarding container deposits, Mr. Chairman, there is a sanction mechanism that the Shippers Council has in place where there is a violation and where these deposits are not refunded as at when due. Council has a sanction in place to be able to address that. Also further, Mr. Chairman, on the issue of this same container deposits, we have a program in place to ensure there is an insurance mechanism that's been introduced in order to guarantee these container deposits. It's one of the processes that at the level of council we're working on. We haven't actually finalized that yet, but we believe it is also an avenue that will assist shippers in order for this container deposits and the issues arising around it to be addressed holistically.
So can the importer complain to you directly?
Yes.
They can send complaint to you?
Yes.
Okay.
There is a complaints unit that is actually responsible for handling that, sir. Now, I will just respond to a few of the issues, and with your kind permission, Chairman, where I'm not able, because I'm the JJC Executive Secretary, I may have to request one of my directors who is here to be able to throw more light where there's a need to do that. Thank you, sir.
It's okay. It's okay by us.
Now, there are a number of issues that we will suggest, and one of the stakeholders, particularly the gentleman from the Kaduna Dry Port, mentioned his concern about ships not willing to issue true bill of lading for cargo that is destined for Kaduna Dry Port. Mr. Chairman, is something that we are agonizing seriously about in council. And we have decided there are a number of solutions that can be provided. The first solution, Mr. Chairman, is that right now before you in these hollow chambers is a bill that we have proposed. The bill is actually called the bill, it's a liability regime bill. It's before the National Assembly, sir.
It's a territory.
Sorry, I'm being corrected. Like I said, somebody's whispering behind me, and that's carried by goods. It's carriage of good by land. Sorry, let me allow her to speak to that quickly, because I think it's very, very important that everybody understands we're taking the steps to address that particular issue. Please, if you...
Yes, Honorable Chairman, sir. It's the carriage of goods by land. It's a liability regime to actually drive the liability
from the water port to the inland ports. So because of that risk, they are not willing, to issue this true bill of lading because of the constraint of the risk.
But sorry, yes, there is usually a clause that cargo in transit to ICT Kano is at the risk of the owner. That is, there is a
I'll ask my Director of Regulatory Services, who is actually sitting on the desk, that has responsibility for this, to offer us an even better response. Thank you, sir.
So the carriage of...
They find it difficult, although that one is with custom anyway, not with the Shippers Council. So, but what I expect from Shippers Council is all containers that are closed going outside terminal, like the north, like Kaduna, Kano, should be dropped at the seaside. So they come to APMT terminal to contribute to the congestion we're experiencing. So they can take it out either by sea or by barge, by whatever, and then take it to the north. So this one will not create more problem for us. But by leaving them inside and call together with others to already congested terminal, that's where we have problem with the Shippers Council. You should write to all the shipping lines and then let them know any container. Let me give you an instance. In 2006, I have containers in Lagos, and retired DCG Jato was the controller KLT. So I went to greet him. He said, "What are you doing late?" I said, "I have been here for like a month because ICNA is waiting for..." He said, "We don't need that." He said, "Your container is supposed to come to Kano." I said, "Yes, but ICNA had to wait for APMT to allocate to AML or MIGFO or any terminal outside, or even your KLT here, before they will not come and pick it and take it to the..." He said, "You are part of the problem. That is going to come, go back here." Now the John George was the Controller General. He called him, and immediately the other Mrs. Suleiman was the Controller Papa to write to all shipping lines. Any container coming should be stern, that is going to the north, should not even come inside, should be dropped at the seaside, and that is how we solve the congestion. So I expect the Shippers Council to do the same thing this time, together with the customs. You give them order, whoever violated the order should be penalized. This is my suggestion.
Yeah, we actually have been in.
And I know, sir, that there is today a process that, if in place, will automatically reduce fundamentally the challenges that we're having in the port. I mean, the automation systems that we're putting in place, particularly the e-customs, and I'm hoping that because the customs are here, they are able to speak to it, sir. Once we have that platform in place and all stakeholders can plug into it, Mr. Chairman, believe me, your interactive session today would have had a fundamental, an important input into how do we solve some of the cumbersome processes that we have in the ports. So I thought I should just notify the committee that there is a process ongoing, but at the moment it's very slow. There's a snail speed that is being brought to bear on it, and we really don't don't know why this is the case. So I think that maybe this is one important information that can be brought to bear on the course of this interactive session. It will help us fundamentally. And I thought I should just mention that to the hearing of the chair.
Yeah, the e-customs, CG has been talking to us in the committee. We're going to put them away to make things faster. Our colleagues, you are going to ask your question, just write them down after custom. When custom, what do they call them? The landlord of the port. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Then one last thing, and this is final. Position of the International Cargo Trading Tracking Note, ICTN, which fortunately is now at a point where we can report that it is close by for us to begin the implementation. That is another very important platform, in addition, of course, to the e-custom, that we believe that will throw more clarity and provide, an environment that, will improve greatly, the processes of shipping in this country. That is within our purview. Mr. Chairman, I can report that we are now in procuring process to be able to begin the implementation of that as well. I thought maybe I should also notify the committee of what we're doing there. That'll be all for us from our end, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Nigerian Customs Service. The allow MPA to talk before you. So since you are the leader in the port.
With seaport operators and the KIDP and some of the terminal operators. This was in order to support and encourage the development of these dry ports. Some time ago we held a meeting, and the first thing we asked Kaduna Inland Dry Port to do was to identify preferred terminals. And they identified WAPT in One and APMT in Lagos. And in that meeting, what KIDP requested for was support of APMT to provide a consolidation point for all KIDP bound cargo. A consolidation point, a place where they consolidate all the KIDP bound cargoes, which they said would be about 500 containers monthly. They also requested APMT to review the billing method where cargoes that are in transit to KIDP are charged the same rate as those that have already reached their final destination in Lagos. In the same meeting, they requested APMT to also consider allowing the payment of its charges at KIDP, Kaduna, which is the destination, but rather than in Lagos. They also requested APMT to reconsider additional charges on cargoes to be loaded either on rail after they have already been received, after receiving the TDO. And they asked APMT to also review its stand on asking for the return of empty containers or exports before imports could be loaded, and then the need for APMT to have presence in Kaduna. And APMT actually agreed on some of these things. And to allow for easy facilitation, they asked APMT to always send a list of containers prior to the arrival of the vessel. They also asked for proper delineation of the containers that are coming and how they will move, whether it's by rail or by truck. They also encouraged them to have early evacuation of cargo within the free period in order to avoid additional costs. And the KIDP was asked to forward proposal for its request. At the same meeting also was WAPT, and almost the same thing. And what they wanted was for WAPT to provide another consolidation area within the port location for cargo bound for KIDP for about 250 containers on a monthly basis. And WAPT also considered allowing payment. So, and WAPT also agreed to some of this.
WAPT, you are taking notes. And APMT too.
Also, they said WAPT to consider extension of the number of days for KIDP bound cargoes as against the standard 3 days due to logistics involved in their evacuation.
I don't understand. 3 days for what?
3 days. 3 days.
How many days?
Yes.
How many days they give?
Storage 3 days. I wanted them to increase it by 3 days.
What is the day now? Is it
3 days?
3?
Yes.
Only 3 days.
Yes, sir.
What can be done within 3 days?
Then they also wanted.
Should be minimum of 14 days. Let's say for 7, 1 week. 3 days, you can't do anything.
Let me go. And then they also wanted WAC to consider reviewing terminal handling charges, which WAC at the end of the day also said they review. And they should grant KIDP trucks accelerated access into and out of the port. I'm sure this is in order to reduce the processing time. And then WAC also agreed that they will be issuing debit notes in advance to KIDP, to the agents of KIDP, for cargo bound for that location. This is just in order to also fast track it. And then they asked KIDP to ensure accelerated process of customs documentation, because sometimes some of the issues are related to documentation for clearing of those goods out of that location. And then they were asked to review terminal handling charges. I am mentioning this, Chairman, sir, just so that you know the efforts made by MPA in order to ensure that the terminal operators work with the Nigerian Ports Authority to encourage the use of the dry ports. And those meetings have been going on regularly. And what we had expected KIDP and others to do was to look at this request by the 2 terminal operators and come back to say, we can do this, and we cannot do that. But we know that the essence of the meeting was to bring them together, and MPA actually spearheaded that meeting. Now let me comment on some of the issues as it relates to the Nigerian Ports Authority. The issue of equipment. The concession agreement allows terminal operators to have development plans, whether development in terms of physical infrastructure, in terms of the user areas, or in terms of their equipment. And we know that terminal operators have been renewing their equipment. In fact, just a few days ago, we have brought in the entire country crane in Onet. We know that APMT has brought in new cranes at that area. And we have consistently been engaging them also to improve the quality of their equipment, which they have done. Is there room for improvement? Yes, they could improve more. But we haven't received complaints about the equipment not being effective. In fact, some of them have even got a very increased number of equipment that they have. The issue of free storage period is actually to forestall the use of the port as a storage facility by importers. It is also contained in the concession agreement and the stakeholders consultation. Let me mention here, sir. Currently, there are over 5,000 containers across the ports that are overtime cargo. A cargo is overtime after 90 days. And this has caused
over 5,000
authority-wide in all the terminals.
That is APMT, TICT,
all the terminal operators, Lagos, Calabar, Warri, everywhere.
Area 1?
Yes, sir. Some of these containers are actually more than a year old. And when you leave these containers there, you are also occupying space that would have been used for containers imported into the country.
Can you give us the list of these 5,000 containers?
We'll hand it over to you. For instance, APMT has 1,051, WAC has 660, Intel's MOT has 169, ECMT has 574. We'll give you the breakdown. APMT has over 1,000.
Give us, we need the list so that, first of all, we cannot follow the procedures to auction these containers. Since they left it, customs just auction direct.
Now let me add, sir. The containers are supposed to be evacuated to Ikorodu terminal. Currently, Ikorodu terminal has over 2,500 containers. The place is filled up. Nigerian Customs has not auctioned containers to the best of our knowledge in recent times. So there's even no space to take more empty containers to the
Custom, can you take notes? you have not auctioned any container in recent times?
To the best of my knowledge, I'm not saying completely, but
No, you are right, you are right.
we haven't seen any containers moved out of the Ikorodu terminal for auction in recent times. So there is need for that to be done in order to free the ports of overtime cargo. Some of them have been there for many years.
Okay, I will.
So that is a major problem, Chairman. And if that can be handled, the terminals will be freer to receive more imports, and there will be more space for that. And then in Ikorodu terminal, when empty, that means if customs is able to auction these containers, it will now have more space for us to move overtime cargo to those locations. And the cargo stays for so long. Not too long ago, we had written to the city customs, and we appreciate he took action. There were containers that were overtime received at the terminals that were containing explosives, the kind of explosives that created issues in Beirut. We heard that one of the remaining containers had just been taken away about a week ago. So we have so many containers. There are jerry cans of petrol kept by the Nigerian customs at Ikorodu. We have written on that, so there is need for Nigerian customs to take action at Ikorodu so that all those items are taken out. The other issue is the export containers and the procedure. One of our major focus in the Nigerian Ports Authority in recent times is to encourage exports. We know how that affects the GDP of every country. But however, representatives of the exporters are also part of the Berthing meeting. And that they are part of Berthing meeting, where they discuss when the vessels are berthed. And it is where the information on ship arrival and departure are discussed and contained. It is at this meeting that representatives of the shipping lines make declaration on the expected time of arrival of vessels, which exporters' representatives will take. But what we discovered here is that some of the exporters do not actually wait for those vessels to come in at time. They are already aware that this is when the vessels are coming in. Yes. But I think what of the challenges here are the changes in Nigerian customs and CBM procedures as it affects export containers. There is also improper documentation by exporters themselves. Some of them are not able to finish their documentations before they bring in those containers for export.
I think that one is very minimal problem. I think the exporters are here. I think their representatives are here. There is one major
issues that the exporters also have. On the issue of
OMT, how do they operate the way they operate OMT on their multi-purpose terminal? Is it licensed by MPA?
Yes, it is. So that is being investigated. We have had that report actually, I think, early last week or so, and it is currently being investigated. There is supposed to be a meeting this Friday with them at the headquarters of Nigerian Ports Authority. On the issue of ATO, which is the e-column system, it's a system that was introduced to digitalize the manual system of bringing in trucks into the ports. The idea was for all trucks going into the port locations, to exit from appointed truck terminals, and then you'll be called up and you move from one terminal to the other. And then they are supposed to have e-tickets. This way, terminal operators are able to know when trucks are coming in. In recent times, they have been given a dashboard that will even enable them to know when trucks are coming in. But there are multiple problems which we have addressed. Some of them are outside that of the Nigerian Ports Authority, outside the purview of NPA. First of all, the first problem is the issue of extortion. There are multiple
issue of extortion.
Yes, there are multiple checkpoints within what we call the red zone. The red zone is the Tinkan.
Please, media, take note of this. There are multiple extortions in the ports along the roads
Chairman, this statement is meant to you, not to the media.
We went to Lagos. We went around this country, all the ports. This transport. They spend average of 250 to 300,000 to enter the ports.
Okay, so let me.
So it's not that we are hearing it from you.
So let me explain, Chairman. So you have multiple checkpoints that are just springing up. Officers. At times you find men in uniform, either naval or military, escorting vehicles illegally. And Lagos State government has been very cooperative in terms of enforcement of the SOP as it relates to the truck call-up system. About last week, we held a meeting with the Federal Road Safety Commission, LASMA, the AIG, Marine, the CP, and other officers in the police force. And we decided that let them identify checkpoints. And the essence of the checkpoints is not to interfere with the flow of traffic. The essence of the checkpoints is to verify that this truck is allowed to come in. Because what we discovered is a lot of the trucks formerly will just park along the Tinkan and Papa corridor looking for business. That means they actually have no business being in those locations. And that's why truck parks were created and automated. The other problem is the roads.
Before you come to the roads, you're not coming. You don't even need any human being. That once you come to the gate, you just place it at the gate, it will open for you.
That's the call-up, sir.
Is it working that way now?
Yeah, it's working that way.
So you don't need all these checkpoints.
But we are not the ones putting checkpoints, sir.
You don't need them. Because if you don't have that ticket, you cannot come in. So and any truck found without the ticket should be impounded.
So the people that are supposed to impound are the people extorting action. Yeah, so that's how it's supposed to be. And then we have been having the Lagos State government, LASMA, LASWA, and so on and so forth, has been working with Nigerian Ports Authority to ensure enforcement. That has worked to a large extent, but we still have multiple checkpoints. At times in a day, you can count 15, 20, 30 checkpoints within the Tinkan and Papa corridor. And it's really affecting the flow of traffic, mostly at night. Now it has graduated to area boys being the fifth man or whatever they call it. They stand there, collect this money on behalf of uniformed men. Nigerian Ports Authority personnel or security are part of the teams. We are taking the adequate measures to ensure that our staff are not involved in that. We have also heard of the Naval Command taking actions and possibly the police. There's collaboration. We have started having regular monthly security meetings where we discuss the essence of ensuring that there's free flow of traffic within the Tinkan and Papa corridor. The construction of the Tinkan access road had just commenced. There are some terrible spots there. That's the Sunrise area and Mr. Biggs area. We have been having contact with the Director of Federal Ministry of Works and Housing in Lagos and High Tech also. And there have been some piloting works, but they are not good enough. We have worked with Federal Road Safety Commission to also ensure that the minimum safety standard for trucks is implemented. There was opposition by the truck unions, but what we have observed is so many trucks are falling off. The containers are not strapped properly. The trucks can hardly move. Most of the trucks you find on the highways in Nigeria breaking down. We can reduce that if we're able to improve the quality of trucks that pick those same cargo from the port locations. So we have started that, and it has been implemented. It has started working. We have over 50,000 trucks registered on the ATO platform that have met the minimum safety standard for trucks to work in the port. So I think these were the issues that were raised that relate to the Nigerian Ports Authority. Thank you, sir.
It's okay, MD. We'll go to custom.
Custom, police, and the invites, our friends from the media. Good afternoon. The Nigerian Customs Service is related to a part of this progression. We we are really happy to be on this kind of platform, because if, like the Honorable colleague said, if we can get it right today, everything will be right. Nigeria will work, and Nigeria will work, inshallah. For Nigeria Customs Service, we are negative. Anything that has to do with trade facilitation, anything that has to do with ease of doing business. But the truth of the matter, it takes two to tango. Starting from the lady from ICN, she said they go to numerous seats or tables. I expected her to report to the air controller. That's why the air controller is there. She is supposed to report to the air controller and say, this is what we're encountering, and let's know if it has been, if the air controller has intervened or not. But she didn't bother, which means she was happy or part from the issue. Because for office of air controller, any document must come to his office for administrative purposes, certainly. And then for the DC revenue, we have a certain admonition from
DCG.
origin, yeah?
Are you saying that these 20 steps that lady mentioned are not part of the procedures?
No, so that's what she's assuming. So what I'm saying, if she knew, or her assumption...
I'm just asking. Is it?
I don't think it should be.
It's not part
Because
of
I'm
the
not
procedure.
sure. I'm not sure. She just assumed. I'm not really sure. I was not there.
No,
and
no.
nobody reported to the
Okay.
Customs Service.
Madam.
But sir, I want to
Just 1 minute, sorry.
mention the case,
Just
the office. Okay.
1 minute. Madam, are you assuming or this is what is happening?
Sir?
I'm asking that lady.
I said what has been happening, sir.
Are you assuming all those steps?
Not-
Are they assumptions or
Not
they are,
assumptions, sir.
they are happening?
But
Yes,
did she
sir.
report, sir?
Okay, just she's not assuming. She has said that this is what is
Or was it
happening.
reported?
So I'm asking the customs, is it really in the procedures of
I'm
customs
not sure,
to
sir.
have
Really,
these
I'm
steps?
not sure. I don't think so.
It's not in the
we are,
procedure?
like I said at my opening, we're not only to generate revenue, but trade facilitation
Madam, we're
is
trying
very
to make
important.
progress. You see, my question is simple. She mentioned about 20
That's what I'm
steps.
saying. I don't think so, sir.
So it's not in your procedure.
I know, sir. That if it's asserted,
So what the DCG is saying is not in the procedure of customs. If you go back before we find solution to this thing, tell them that the DCG said it's not
not
in the
this
procedure.
system, what she's supposed to do is to go to the air controller, who is superintending the command.
It's
Say,
something-
this is what I'm encountering.
To her, the controller is the DCG. Is the CG.
3 months, sir.
Is to her, the controller is the CG. Tell them that the Nigerian Customs Service said we should not hold these steps. Where did we get it to do it? Something like
So,
that.
let me please, sir, like the office of the air controller, certainly all papers that come to the command must come to the air controller's desk for administrative purposes, certainly. Then for the DC revenue, he has to ascertain, as initial, has this desire been stemmed to a particular place from origin. So that is necessary for DC revenue. Then for pump seat, the security of the goods, in case they decided to do away with it or whatever, at least we have secured the revenue thereof. Then for the enforcement is saddled with the responsibility of giving escorts to those containers. Then the gate, for you to get out, we have to be sure what was given to you. Is it in tandem with the law? Or has it actually gone through the correct extant processes? Extant processes. So this one I know. And then for fast track, to find out if you're on fast track, are you still eligible to be on fast track? But some of them were on fast track and they were removed from fast track because of one malfeasance or the other. Because fast track is a facility for trade facilitation, but for compliant traders. So this, what I was talking about, I really don't know. But
DCG,
yes, please.
today we are going to agree on the procedure here. Since you are the DCG TNT, I will suggest something. So if it's acceptable here, then we pass it and then they do and work with it that way. I think what we are after is revenue, not to loss.
Not for the revenue, sir. We're after facilitation of trade.
And that's what I'm saying for the trade to be facilitated. That's why we want to do it.
So for compliant traders, we are only implementers. It comes from the government and we implement. And then for procedures, we always give information according to Article 2 of the Facilitation Agreement. We give information. That is why every Monday, Nigeria Customs Service is airing its numerous activities. So I don't know if the MP does not watch SDO. I don't know.
Can you say, come again?
Yes, I said the issue of issues. The second about we just turn out information without prior knowledge to them. I mean the stakeholders. But I told you, it is policy issue. We are only implementers. We must implement. But if it's procedural, certainly before even the circular will go out, we must have aired it on the TV, well, NTA. We do it every Monday. So I said maybe the gentleman does not watch NTA. Yes. Then about then what? Thinking about too many containers staying in the ports. I thought the law is unambiguous. Where consignment of goods are gone beyond the normal days, stipulated days, they are supposed to generate unclaimed cargo to customs.
Like 28 days?
Yes, to customs.
Wow.
But
and then are you hearing? Once it's 28 days,
yes,
you inform customs.
Why you don't? Customs is not a magician. And then we don't give what we don't have. But the moment you transfer the unclaimed cargo into customs, certainly we do the needful. And then MPMT. MPMT, don't start what you cannot finish. You said that we supposed to do the same thing. Because the issue of scanners is everybody is aware of it. The moment the scanners are ready, Nigerian Customs Service will certainly deploy because it's even easier. When you can examine manually 100 containers, with scanners you can do 1,000 containers.
Yeah,
so
yes. We have agreed with the CG to repair these ones that are repairable. We agreed in the last meeting in the Finance Committee. He said he believes in for us to repair and we are going to do it.
The Honorable Chairman, really, the truth of the matter is, it takes two to tango. Where whoever, maybe the gladiators, stakeholders, where you observe an anomaly, you have to raise the red flag. Because if you don't, which means you are booked in, you are part of the issue. But the moment you notice a red flag, I mean, you're supposed to pick out a sort of circuit, but you will not. They will be now part of that problem and they want customers to come and perform magic realistically. But for Nigerian Customs Service, we are ready to facilitate this legitimate trade. And we are ready to ease doing business in Nigeria. Because you are the ones that are helpful to generate this revenue. Without importers to hold their agent, so we will be able to generate this revenue. But the truth of the matter, it has to be a two-way thing, two-way traffic. Do the right thing and custom do the needful. Finish. Thank you. Are you done?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. First of all, I would like to apologize to the Honorable Chairman, the Honorable Vice Chairman, and the Honorable members. In my self-introduction, I did not address the House properly. I've never had the privilege of appearing before one of our legislative chambers, so it was not an intended problem, so I wish to tender that apology. Sir, the role of Web Fontaine is to help to facilitate the IT solutions for the Nigeria Customs Service, as you know. We work with our own equipment and our own software and hardware that we provide to customs. And in most of those cases, they are operated in conjunction with officers of NCS, many of who have been trained and many of who operate this very well, I must say. We are also subject, without giving an excuse, we are also subject to the same infrastructure that everybody else is in the country, the same telecoms, the same broad infrastructure that everybody is. Just for information, our telecoms, our communications, we use backup, we use backup of backup, we back up the backup as well, in terms of the different methods that we use. But what we're finding is that even as we do so, one thing that I would like to say is that there is not a time actually that the system is down and out. And usually it's the telecoms, it's not the servers. We've seen newspaper reports that have said that the custom servers are down. Custom servers have not been down. Custom servers are very robust.
So, but why is it that they will not be able to work?
So it's telecom, it's communications. And we have used, and we continue, and we do continue to look for better ways. We've done recently, actually, about in the past, this month alone, we have actually made some upgrades. For a couple of weeks, it appeared that everything was doing well. There were other issues as well. Our service providers for telecoms, they too have their own issues, and we're not giving that as an excuse. Our remit is to provide a solution.
MD.
Yes, sir.
You see, all of us here use mobile phone.
Yes, sir.
We have data, we have Wi-Fi. In my house, I have Legend. There's one provider that we don't call here Legend. You see, you don't need to experience all this one for days, like 2 days, no network. It's not possible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can't blame them.
So it's not that there's no network. Sometimes if one system isn't working and we use a backup system, sometimes it is slower. And what we have in those instances is often that it's a very slow service, not that it is not working at all. It's still not acceptable.
What can you do to improve? What can you do to improve? So that we don't waste time. My colleagues have a lot of questions.
Yes, sir.
See, they are already bloated with questions and they want to vomit them out.
Yes, sir.
So for everybody to answer.
Yes, very quickly, sir. We have engaged, first of all, some hardware upgrades that we believe will help. And we do continue to monitor the situation every single day. We have upgraded the bandwidth that we have for our telecoms. We've upgraded the bandwidth, and we will do so again as soon as we find that it's necessary. But we do monitor and we rely on feedback as well. When we hear that it's not working well, we do, and the office of the ACT-ICT will confirm. They also, as soon as the various area commands, if they're experiencing any problems, they report immediately, and we rush around to figure out what is the problem. So in terms of improving the system, we have increased bandwidth, and we want to see if that works. If it's not working, we'll look for the next solution. But we are determined to make sure that it does work well and smoothly.
Thank you. One of our colleagues was your MD, that for 13 years,
yes, sir.
He rescued himself initially, but he has rescued himself